Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Are the Operant Power with Gail and
Jane, hi.
hi, Jane.
Hi.
Today's topic, we're just going to do a quick one. So we may not cover everything and we may have to do another one in the future, but we're going to be talking about concept of self and the importance, I guess, of having a concept of self. We were having a discussion earlier where we talked about how Jane had mentioned something about an open-ended path that we have. And then as the discussion went on, we got more into the idea that really it's not really an open-ended path. While there's numerous experiences that can happen to get us to our end, we do have to have some concept of self in order to decide whether or not what we're experiencing is what fits for who we choose to be. I think when we're not consciously doing this, when we're living the more quote unquote unconscious life, I think we do think that it's very open ended and that we're very going with the flow. And they said this, then I have to do it this way. I said that, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. It is very open ended. But when we start doing things, looking at our lives consciously and wanting to create our reality consciously, I think we decide who we want to be, what is our concept of self. And we may not even verbalize it or to ourselves, like I am blah, 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 blah. But I think we have an idea of what works, what fits for us in any given moment and what doesn't anymore, especially if we're looking at the idea of triggers and that people are showing us who we are or what we're holding in our consciousness. And
Yes.
I'll let you talk, Jane, in a minute. I just want to get one point
Yeah.
I think is really, really important that we've talked about. And in follow-up sort of to last week's video, people respond based on what we hold in our consciousness. They have no choice but to respond based on that. So when somebody is responding to you, no matter how they're responding to you, it's not personal in the sense that they feel that way about you. They have no choice but to feel that way about you. It's kind of like when you're dealing with someone, I'm dealing with Jane, for example, it's almost like there's a string between us, and the data that I feel about you is going from myself over a cable. Let's say a cable works better. The data is going from me over that cable to you in what you think about me, and that is creating the thoughts in your head about me. So, sorry, the data from me is going to you based on what I think of me, and then you're picking up that data and responding back to me based on that data. So
Yes.
not like you have any choice but to think that way about me based on the data that you receive from me.
Yes.
So, and that's not you making the decision to feel that way about me. You have no choice but to, and vice versa. The same for you and everybody that we're like, we've all these cables going out of our head of communication cables to everybody that we're dealing with, and they're responding accordingly. So I think that's just it's sort of a hard point to grasp, especially when you're in the middle of being, in a situation where you've been triggered. But I think it's really important to remember they're only showing you what you're holding in your consciousness. They are not personally attacking you. It's you showing you, basically. And I know, Jane, you've been like having some really, really, really cool successes lately. I don't know what you want to share, and that's fine, but maybe you can just share what your feelings have been about the experiences that you've had over the last week. And Jane's like does all of this stuff. We talk about it, then she goes and does it, and then brings it back to us, which is really cool.
Yeah. Well, we were doing harmony, unity, and love, and part of the struggle for me was to get the unity part back in my brain. It seemed to be having difficulty with the unity. I'd forget the word. I'd be like harmony, and then it would come back. And then the unity part, we talked again, and we were talking about forgiveness, forgive and forget. And there was a whole bunch of stuff that I was thinking, oh, I probably need to forgive for myself for that. More so myself. Like that's the insight
Mhm.
in dealing with lots of people and having lots of people around me and showing me stuff. I keep going, okay, well, what's the insight? And the insight for me, I think, was I was trying to share was that it's it's the identity of knowing what I want. And for me right now, harmony, unity, and love felt really good. It felt like a really nice place to be. I want to be here. I like this. I like this. I like this place. I want to be here. I really want to be here. Oh, good things happen when I'm in this place, and everything's running really good. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to do a little bit of work on forgiveness this week just to ensure that, this continues kind of thing. And sure enough, some stuff came up and I was like, oh yeah, I can forgive that. I forget that. Forgive this, forget that, I can forgive all that. I just want harmony, unity, and love to be my, you know, like almost like a presence of being in like a very calm place, I guess, for me is very enjoyable. I love it, and it's very creative. It's a very creative place. So good ideas come from that place, and also being able to make decisions, which I've had a lot of decisions to make. So so the unity part, the forgiving part, and then a whole bunch of stuff just came at me where I was like, before, um, there was a lot of people around for one thing. Uh, and so I felt that presence, and I really just was like, oh yeah, harmony, unity, and love in my head a lot, because here comes some stuff. And yeah, I just was able to feel a sense of what we've been talking about, that the more I stay in that place, the more everything seems to, I attract that, and people are showing me aspects that I would normally react to or get into a long discussion about or want to clarify or control or any of those places in conversation. I just feel like it's a different place for me because I like to talk. So I kind of was going more into my observer of, oh, just want to stay in that harmony, unity, and love place for everybody. And I just found that everything unfolding seems to keep aligning with that very nicely. Even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment and somebody's upset or someone's sharing something with me that's like, normally I would be investing, judging, I would say more, I would be investing more in the judgment and
Mhm.
getting into my own place of the other side of the argument or whatever. Or it seems to be that with that in mind, it's easier to be the observer and listen and just let whatever's happening happen and be more in my place of being. That's what it feels like. We
Right.
didn't really talk about
So,
that.
well, so basically your concept of self, just to
Yes.
sort of interpret what you've been experiencing. Basically, your concept of self has been, I am one with harmony, unity, and love. So you have been everything now. You've been looking at your situations, your experiences from that place. And that's why you're manifesting, no matter what you're confronted with, you're manifesting that feeling of harmony, unity, and love, because that has been your concept of self. That
Right. And okay.
being
Okay.
harmony, unity, and love.
And I said to you, the harmony, unity, and love is a good, it seems to be a good, whatever it aligns with whatever inside of me. I don't know. It resonates or whatever.
What's the
And
principle? It's a principle.
it kind of led me, I feel like it led me to being more forgiving of myself because I, like we were talking earlier before we started recording, that sense of self that I can deal with this. And, you know, it's not about me trying to control anybody else and explain myself away to, you know, like all those things. And that forgiveness, I thought it was forgiving the other person for them, but it's actually just forgiving myself for allowing myself to get caught up in that narrative or judging. Probably I would say is a lot of it, like just getting caught up in judgment and not just, you know, letting even the thought go or let it come in and revise it to, oh, I don't think that way anymore, instead of getting involved in it and paying attention to it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, the forgiveness for others is just, there's just, you forgive them for showing you what's in your consciousness. I mean, that's, which is basically recognizing that it's your own stuff, right?
Right. Yes. But this felt more like, it was like a reminder that I'm forgiving myself, right? Like
Yeah.
instead of like it felt more internal than external. Like I'm not forgiving out there, I'm forgiving in here, in my heart. So it kind of makes room for love. And then I was saying to you, I had a lot of, you know, stuff come up, like a lot of love came up, you know, like it kept feeding itself. So that was really cool. That's a really cool experience.
Yeah. Well, and just the experience that you shared with me, like you've done, like it was huge. It really
Yeah.
was huge.
Yeah.
And you did really well on it. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
Um,
Yeah. I
well,
really encourage everybody to, uh, you know, take some time to know what you want, and stay focused on that, because there's a lot of things that I'm,
those
as soon as
oranges
I,
keep jumping up.
right. And
As
what,
soon as you decide
yes. Yes.
what your concept of self is, the oranges will come up. Are you sure? Because this is what you used to think. So which,
Yeah.
you know, we'll go back, I think this was 2 videos ago, you know, the oranges and apples, when they come up, you know, the oranges are just saying, like, are you sure that's what you, this new belief or concept of self, are you sure? Because this is what you used to believe. And that's all that's happening. It's like, yeah, no, I don't think like that anymore. I am whatever your choice of concept of self is. I'm harmony, unity, and love now. So that doesn't fit anymore. And I guess the whole point is like, none of this is don't take it personal, because you can't, it takes you down the wrong path.
Yes.
Taking it personal that someone is doing this to you, then
Yes.
drives you down the wrong path. If you just take it as a recognition, like, oh, geez, I didn't even know that until they showed me that about myself. Like, yeah, no, that just doesn't work for me. I am blah, 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 blah. Just very matter of factly. Like,
Yes.
you have to have the emotion in it.
Yes.
Feel emotional. Like, don't hold yourself back from crying. Feel the emotion. Just either don't attach, not either, but don't attach a story to it. But if you must attach a story to it, then you attach a story that is beneficial to you. So that energy, that creative energy, can be used towards your goal. Or just be very neutral. You know, I'm crying because I'm crying. I'm sad because I'm sad. Because as soon as you attach something to it, then you're creating. That energy is creating.
Yes.
You will start creating.
And actually, a lot of emotion did come up for me because seem to, I don't know, And I did that. I was like, okay, you're sad, cry. Like it's weird because it was like I never knew that there was even a place that you couldn't not have a narrative
Have a reason for it.
or a reason,
Yeah.
or,
Yeah.
or I got to change it, or, you don't need to be crying, or you shouldn't be crying, or why would you be crying, or like all these different things. It's incredible. And I really actually experienced this one time where I was crying, and then it was like a really good feeling came out of it. Like it
All
was like
for me
tears of
anyways.
joy. It wasn't,
After for me, after a cry, if I have a cry, then I feel that much stronger. So like there's nothing wrong with crying. Don't attach a
yeah,
crying because I'm crying. Period.
yeah,
Or I'm crying because I'm XYZ, which is something that I want. So something that's beneficial that keeps me in my end or experiencing the experiences I need to live in that end. Um, yeah, you always feel stronger after. Like you feel there's I think we have been made to feel like, not so good at things about crying or feeling like crying. And, we maybe have a tendency to not enjoy crying, which I get. But if you're, I've always been one like, well, if I feel like doing it, then why would I stop it? Like it
yes,
just part of I don't know if it's right or wrong to do it, but I know that I'm welling up. I know that I'm feeling like I need to, like, why do I need to stop that? And
yeah,
and now we don't, I mean, we recognize we don't have to have a reason for it. And this is, I think, an important point in doing this, um, that you do have emotions. You are human. And it doing this work doesn't mean that you push them away, those emotions.
yes,
You need to feel them, process them. You just do not have to attach a story to them. You can just be doing them because you're crying because you're crying. I feel sad because I'm sad. Feel it. Don't attach a story.
yeah. It feels also like
Stronger afterwards.
yeah, because it's part of because it was like identity stuff that like I was forgiving myself for, whatever it was. And it was like there was sadness there. And as soon as I felt that, I felt like you said, like a relief, and I didn't attach any story to it. And then I just felt really joyful. So it's weird because we're so afraid to feel that pain, but I think underneath that sadness is joy unexpressed. Like it's just sitting there, like you want to be happy about something, but you've got so many narratives on top of it, and holding it or managing it or controlling it, like just, like even emotions. I think generally that there are a lot of narratives about emotion. Oh, it's inconvenient or embarrassing, or what, like if someone just randomly started crying, uh, you know, what would you do? Like a lot of people would react to that. And I think just being okay with that in itself is like that's forgiveness of yourself, like allowing yourself, forgiving yourself that you're not going to always be okay, uh
I
or
think there's a
it's not even
distinction. I think there's a distinction too between crying and having a story attached to that and crying because you're crying. One is very lack oriented, victim oriented, and
ah
is the empowered.
yeah, yes,
Because I mean, there is people that cry
allowing, because you're
and always have a
allowing your
story.
own self to unfold in that emotion, but you're not attaching to it that you're a
Story that
victim, or
holds you there.
right. And maybe it frees up uh a bigger place to experience the
Well,
joy.
it's creating when you don't have a story attached, then you're not creating whatever there's or recreating the story. If you
Oh,
have,
yes, yes,
you're recreating that
yes.
and you over and over, and you've got that intensity from the emotion attached to it, which is creative, and it's just feeding it. So it's like this circle, the cycle. Whereas if you pull away from, no, I can cry, can be sad, I can be whatever I want to be. I don't need to have a story. I just am.
Well, yeah, and it's if you don't have a story, a
And
couple
there's
of times,
nothing creative about it.
right? And a couple of times I was like, oh, I would be getting all choked up about something, and I could hear the story playing, and then I would literally be like, oh, I don't think that way anymore. I don't need that. And the feeling would go, like the emotion would just dissipate. Like I'd be like, oh yeah, back to what I was doing. Like, because I was cleaning and finding photographs, which were reminding me of old stories, and oranges were coming up. So I was like, oh, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So anything else you want to mention about concept of self? I think I've mentioned the
Keep working on it.
that I wanted to. Yeah, like be persistent.
Yeah. Persistence. Yes.
Again,
Persistence.
even if it doesn't feel like it's working, it's working.
Yeah.
Recognize the oranges for what they are. If they're no longer how you think, acknowledge that you don't think that way anymore. Replace with what you do think now or feel now, and persist. Even if you don't notice any changes immediately, it is working. And there will be that, for lack of a better word, tipping point where you'll just notice that you feel different.
Yeah.
So persist and choose a great concept of self. Harmony, unity, and love. That's a good one. And forgiveness is really important. Just one more point about forgiveness. I think we talked about this in our other forgiveness video, but it wipes the slate clean.
Mm.
So if you've forgiven, then say if Jane and I had something going on and I've forgiven her, then I have no history with her. So it's the very beginning relationship and go from there. There's no history, no past stories, no issues, no challenges. It's just starting from the beginning. What do you want? And then focus on that because the slate is clean.
The slate is clean.
Yeah. Okay, let's wrap it up, but nice and short, I hope.
Yeah.
Comments that you may have. And we'll see you soon.
Okay. Bye for now.